Congratulations on the purchase of your new PVI modular ramp. Here are the steps to properly assemble your new ramp. It's recommended that you have a workbench or elevated flat surface to assemble the various sections of your modular ramp. You will need to first unload and unpack the various components that make up your modular ramp system and lay them out for assembly. If your ramp requires a landing, the assembly of that landing will come first. Parts include your landing section, pre-built handrails, and both the 21-inch short handrails and the 62-inch long handrails. First, start with the long handrail with the pre-built slide block, and slide the side block into the C-channel and tighten the fasteners. Then install the second long handrail by sliding it into the C-channel as before and tighten the fasteners down. Because this landing platform has ramps that will connect on this side and then this side, short handrails will be installed on opposite sides of the rails already installed. To install the short rails, simply slide one on using the C-channel in the same manner as the previous rails, and then tighten down. Slide on the second short rail using the C-channel and line it up, slightly offset as shown, and tighten down. Looking straight down at the landing platform, you can see the long rails are placed in this corner and the short rails are placed in the opposite corner, because in this configuration, there will be a bridge ramp section, and then later another ramp section attaches to this side of the landing platform. The next step is to install the legs on the landing platform. The landing platform leg collar straddles on the outside as shown. To attach the leg to the platform, put one washer on the bolt before inserting it into the collar, and then place the second washer on the bolt and then the fastener, and tighten down. Repeat this step for the other legs. In this installation, there is a deck large enough to allow a wheelchair or scooter to turn and face the bridge section that will attach to the landing platform. Since in this instance there are steps, each step is measured and the total length is calculated to arrive at the proper measurement for the landing platform height. Then with that measurement, use the tape measure to set the length of the legs for the platform. Side note, this platform was placed on concrete. If a platform sets on grass, pavers will have to be used. In that case, take the height of the paver and subtract it from the target height of the landing platform. With each leg, once the height is set, tighten down the top leg fastener. When measuring through a ramp, use the 1:12 ratio to be ADA compliant. Landings and bridges do not count as part of the linear feet calculation. For this scenario's installation, the landing platform is near the deck on cement. Here are all the items you need to build a bridge section, which includes ramp sections, single and double posts, handrail sections, ramp hardware, and splices. Start by splicing the ramp sections together. To do this, lay out all of your hardware first. Then, place the splice on the ramp side. Line up the holes and run the carriage bolts through both outside holes, then add washers, and then hand tighten the fasteners. After the outside bolts have been installed, only one additional set of holes will be used, leaving an additional set of holes open. The way to determine which holes are filled is by starting on the end, which has the double posts, and fill the opposite holes. Next, pre-tighten all the fasteners for the splice, leaving about 1/8 to 1/4 inch of threads. Follow the same instructions for the other splice. Next, lay out the vertical posts. Using the same type of hardware as used in the ramp section, line up the 2 holes at the bottom of the vertical post to the ramp side. Use the carriage bolts to fasten the vertical post to the ramp sides by running the carriage bolts through the hole and then adding a washer and hand tighten the fastener. Do this for both holes. Like the ramp splice, tighten the fasteners, leaving 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch of the threads. Using the same steps, attach the other vertical posts. This is what it looks like with all the posts up on the top ramp, because it has double posts at one end. The next step is to install the handrails. There are two kinds, the double posts and the single posts. The hardware to install the handrails comes in this bag. Place the double post handrail on the vertical post, line up the holes, run the carriage bolts through, and hand tighten down the fastener until all are installed, and then tighten them down. Do not over-tighten. Repeat the handrail installation process on the opposite side. Slide the middle handrails in the holes on the vertical posts. Repeat this process on the other side. Any unused holes need to be filled with carriage bolts and fastened down. Next, install the single post handrails to the vertical posts, using the same procedures as the double post handrails. To connect the single and double handrails, a splice block is used. Insert the splice block into one of the handrails and maneuver the other splice block so it slides onto the other handrail. Push the handrails together and tighten down the hex screw. Slide the middle handrail in and, using the splice block, connect the two middle handrails and tighten down the hex screw. Repeat the installation process for the handrails on the opposite side. To install the end loops, first put splice blocks on the end of both upper and middle handrails. Notice on the end loop that there is a notch. This allows the end of the loop to slide onto the splice block so it can be tightened down. Place the end loop on the splice blocks and tighten both down. Repeat this process for the other end loops. Tighten down all semi-tight fasteners, making sure not to over-tighten. This is a side angle of a ramp attachment clip. A ramp attachment clip is used to connect the bridge ramp to the landing. Simply rotate the ramp attachment clip into the channel on the landing platform as shown. Then move the bridge ramp into place and set the end of the ramp into the channel of the ramp attachment clip. Make sure to check the level of the landing platform. Loosen the leg fastener to make any adjustments to the height of the leg to level the landing platform in both directions. Once the landing platform is level, tighten down all leg fasteners. Place the provided upper T into the slot between the ramp and the landing platform. Use the self-tapping screws to fasten the upper T to the platform. This ramp assembly includes an angled wedge landing. Here are all the parts needed for it to be assembled. The first step in assembling a wedge landing is to attach the ramp attachment clip. Run the carriage bolt through the first hole, slide on the washer, and then hand tighten the fastener. Repeat this process for the opposite side, and then tighten down the fasteners. Use the same installation process for the ramp attachment clip on the other side of the wedge landing. The next step is to pre-assemble the handrails. To do that, first put the vertical post into place on the end of the handrail, and make sure you have your bend at the right angle by lifting the piece up and visually lining up the handrail with the wedge landing, as seen here. Using carriage bolts, run the bolts through the holes and then hand tighten the fasteners. Slide the middle handrail into the vertical post. Connect the middle handrail by using the attachment clip and run a carriage bolt through the hole and hand tighten the fastener. Next, connect the other vertical post by following the previous steps. With the assistance of a second person, lift the assembled handrail system into place and, using carriage bolts, connect it to the wedge landing. Put washers into the carriage bolts before hand tightening the fasteners. Then tighten down all the fasteners for the wedge landing assembly. Fill in the unused holes with carriage bolts and fasten down. Attach the legs to the wedge landing side by offsetting the C-channel as shown, and use the carriage bolt to slide through the hole, add the washer, and hand tighten the fastener. To attach the leg on the wedge side, remove the hardware from the leg assembly, and use the same carriage bolts, washer, and fastener from the leg assembly. Line the leg holes up to the wedge holes. Slide the carriage bolts through, add washers, and hand tighten the fasteners. When building a modular ramp system, the height of each landing is important. After every section of ramp has been added to the assembly of the modular ramp system, the length of each ramp will tell you how high the landing platform needs to be. 1 foot of ramp equals 1 inch lower than the landing platform needs to be. In this case, a 7-foot ramp means that the next platform must be 7 inches shorter than the first platform. If that next platform is on grass, pavers must be used. At that point, the height of the paver is subtracted from the overall measurement of the height of the platform. With a measuring tape, set the leg height for the wedge landing and tighten one of the fasteners down. Repeat this process for the remaining legs. Once you're done building your next ramp section, as previously demonstrated, move the ramp into place and lift the ramp onto the landing. In this case, the landing was on grass, so pavers were used. Center the paver under each leg. The final stage for this assembly is the bottom ramp assembly kit, which includes splices, the posts, handrails, hardware, and the ramp section. For the end entry ramp, one section is an all-welded construction beveled ramp. This is superior construction compared to other ramps that use a flap. There is a difference in the splices for an entry ramp. As demonstrated, each splice has holes that will line up with the sides of the ramp. On the splice, the slots allow the entry to adjust to the ground surface. When attaching the splices, always start with the outside bolt. Run the carriage bolt through the hole, add a washer, and then hand tighten the fastener, and then follow the same procedure for the additional bolts. Follow the same installation instructions for the other splice. Tighten down all the splice fasteners, leaving about 1/4 inch of thread. Attach the entrance handrails to the entrance base by using the same carriage bolt procedures and tightening down to snug, but not all the way tight. Slide the middle handrails into place, following the setup procedures from assembling the previous ramp section. Next, install the entrance end loops by first placing the handrail splices onto the ends of the ramp's upper and middle handrails. Lift the end loop up into place and tighten down the handrail splices. Repeat this process for the other end loop. Next, install the support bracket, which is installed on the end entry post. This adds supports to the entry system. Connect the entry leg to the end of the entry ramp by using the carriage bolts, washer, and fastener. Tighten the fastener down, but leave the leg loose. Then repeat this process on the other side. Once the entry support bracket is in place, tighten it down. Add legs as needed. We recommend one every 8 feet. Here are the parts needed to assemble a long leg support. On the lower part of the legs, there are 3 pre-drilled holes that can be used for the leg support. Using carriage bolts, attach the long leg support to the leg. Add a washer and hand tighten the fastener to the carriage bolt. Long leg support blocks are used to attach the supports to the landing base. Slide the block in and rotate clockwise 90 degrees, and with the carriage bolt, attach it to the leg support. Place a washer on the bolt and hand tighten the fastener. Repeat this process to install the other leg support, and then tighten down all fasteners. Additional instructions can be found on our website at pvimanufacturing.com.